All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new. Thank you guys so much for joining me today and for waiting patiently for the intro to finish up. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. How am I feeling? I'm feeling a little bit better. I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I want to try to get back as soon as I could cuz I mean, you know, taking a little bit of time off can help. But for me, I just like to, I like to try to keep myself busy. It definitely helps. So I picked a good day apparently to come back because, oh my God, there's a lot of stuff happening. A lot of rumors, a lot of things leaking. It's a lot. So pumping iron, no, no. Actually, just playing Silent Hill 2 remake. That's what I've been doing. I'm trying to get the platinum, and I'm just a couple trophies away. I think I need like 4 or 5 more trophies, give or take. I think I'm on my last playthrough, and I'm gonna get that platinum, and I'm looking forward to it because that I'll be honest, the Silent Hill 2 remake platinum is one that I didn't think I would be able to get, but I committed to it. I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Thank you for that, Patrick Murphy. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, you guys are awesome. A lot of you guys showed incredible support on the last stream, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But today we have to talk about some crazy stuff. That's well, I guess it's not crazy. I don't know. It's like it feels crazy like initially, but then it's like, well, actually, all right, maybe it's not that crazy, but it's still a big deal. I think there's a couple things that are apparently going to be going down in 2025 that um some things are happening a bit sooner than expected. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about a new PlayStation Studio that has apparently opened, and we have a bunch of new details on this game that they're developing. We're going to cover that. We're going to be talking about how there is seemingly a bit of a flood of new rumors regarding Xbox games that are going to be announced for PlayStation 5 in general, but this year, just this year. Um, Apparently, Gears of War is coming to PlayStation this year, man. Um, Halo Master Chief Collection is coming. Hellblade 2 is coming. This is what's going on. Why is the PS5 Pro getting so much hate? People's expectations are unrealistic. Is it still getting hate? I don't know. I haven't really been paying much attention. I feel like at launch it was getting a bit of hate, but I don't know. Are people still talking about it? Um, Where's Starfield at? Yeah, I don't know, man. Starfield, that's what's kind of weird. The idea that games like Gears or Halo are going to be coming to PlayStation before something like Starfield. Kind of weird, you know? Kind of weird. Ray says he loves his PS5 Pro. He doesn't care what anybody else thinks. Well, it doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks, you know? If you're enjoying it, that's all that matters at the end of the day. But yeah, we have quite a bit to go over. I was thinking about covering some of the Switch stuff, but I'm going to be honest, man, like I can't even keep up. I've been trying to keep up with what's going on with the Switch 2 leaks, but it's just like, yep, yep. At this point, it's just like, so Nintendo, are you gonna? I see people like making jokes now where it's like Nintendo's going to reveal the console after it releases, and it's like, yep, yep, that's where we are. Um, there was also a Xbox Direct that was apparently announced. It's going to be happening on the 23rd, so 13 days from now, and Doom: The Dark Ages is going to be featured. So maybe we'll tune into that when it happens. Gaming Survivor, you're saying the PS5 Pro isn't getting hate. It's just bitter NVIDIA fanboys looking to vent and displace their frustration. Oh, okay. You know what? That makes sense. Yeah, I forgot that there was a bunch of new announcements for NVIDIA graphics cards. And I guess the PS5 Pro was probably brought up a couple times. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't, to be honest, I don't know why people are even having these conversations because it's like they're just two different things, man. Do you want a game on PC? Do you want a GPU that you can put into your PC? And do you want that experience, or do you want a console experience? You know, what do you want? Just decide. You know, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares what you get. The only person that should care is you, right? You should just be focused on what's going to make you happy. And that's why I think it's so funny, because I think a lot of people are just not happy anymore, man. Like, I really think that, and I get it. Sometimes you want to vent when you're not happy about video games or things that you used to be happy about, but it's just like, bro, there's so many options these days. There's so many different ways to partake in gaming. Like, surely there's something that's going to make you a little bit happy. Am I talking about Bungie's new game? Yes. Yeah, we're going to go over details about that. Project Gummy Bears. Sounds exciting. Sounds thrilling. PlayStation's on the up, bro. We're doing it. No, I actually didn't read over the details yet. I don't know what to expect. I know it's about Project Gummy Bears, but I don't know what the actual details are. So maybe I'll love it, maybe I'll hate it, maybe I'll be indifferent to it. We will find out together. But we should probably start with that. But guys, listen, before I dive into anything, we did a 2-hour morning with the missus earlier today. It was a really good time. Everybody there seemed to really enjoy it. Me and Mrs. MBG had a good time. So, that's just one of many perks you gain access to if you become a channel member. So before we go into any of these topics, I just want to encourage everybody, if you want to help support the channel, support the community, and allow me to continue to do this, consider becoming a channel member. You gain access to videos, early access to videos, you gain access to Morning with the Misses, you gain access to the Members Lounge, and occasionally we do some members-only gameplay streams. So you get quite a few different perks there if you become a member. Consider gifting memberships. We're still striving for a goal. It's a big goal, I know, but we still got plenty of time left in the month. So consider dropping some membership gifts. I know a lot of people really appreciate receiving those gifts. Consider dropping a super chat and consider dropping a direct donation. These are 4 ways in which you can support the channel directly, okay? And you guys are the sponsors of the channel, so thank you for allowing me to continue to do this and to have these conversations and cover these topics. But if the only thing you can do is simply hit that like button, then please hit that like button. It helps more than you know. Gears on PlayStation, is that confirmed? Well, the source seems to be pretty good. We have a lot of different Xbox games apparently getting confirmed today from multiple sources, so we will talk about that. But before we dive into the Xbox talk, I want to go over this information about a new PlayStation studio. So we pretty much have the official confirmation that a new PlayStation studio was founded in Los Angeles. There was actually a job listing for a project senior producer. It says Sony PlayStation Studios is seeking outstanding talent to join our passionate and creative family in crafting our next high-profile AAA console title. We are seeking a senior producer based on location in our LA studio who will be relied upon to collaborate with senior leadership, creative leads, and studio directors to develop, maintain, and execute on project planning for the teams. You are the strategic leader for the production team, so get out front and lead. The ideal candidate will possess a combination of project management, communication skills, and a passion for making games. Help us create our next AAA title that will stand apart from the rest. We are a newly established AAA studio based in Los Angeles, driven by a team of seasoned industry leaders and experienced game developers. Our mission is to create the next groundbreaking AAA original IP while reimagining the development process with a lean and highly efficient approach. We're seeking talented individuals who share our vision and are eager to join us on this journey. So, that is an official job description. And the most important part here, I would say, is the part where they say, we are a newly established AAA studio based in Los Angeles. As of right now, That's not something that Sony has officially announced. That's not something Sony has officially announced. However, we did hear about, I would say, 8 to 9 months ago, that Jason Blundell apparently, he said he was working for PlayStation Studios, but we didn't hear anything about which studio. And there was a lot of speculation that there was a formation of a new studio. We do know that, certain developers from Bungie were taken away from Bungie and integrated into PlayStation Studios. And so now we seem to have essentially confirmation that a um that they did form a new studio. And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to bring up the information about the game because we have a bunch of new details on this studio and the game they're making. This does seem to be the Project Gummy Bears title, or that's what this studio is currently developing. So um, this is from the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, and it says details on Bungie's MOBA Smash Bros. Hybrid under a new PlayStation studio. So it says Bungie has been quietly working on a new intellectual property codenamed Gummy Bears, a team based competitive MOBA game. Gummy Bears officially transitioned from Bungie to a new PlayStation studio with around 40 Bungie developers spearheading its continued development. Gummy Bears is a MOBA at its core with a playful twist. It incorporates elements inspired by Nintendo's hit platform fighting game, Super Smash Bros. This is according to multiple sources familiar with the project who wish to remain anonymous as they cannot publicly discuss the company's plans. Players will not have traditional health bars. Instead, the game uses a percentage based damage system where characters are knocked back further based on how much damage they've taken or inflicted. Players can even be knocked off the map entirely. The game features multiple game modes, catering to various player preferences, and 3 distinct class types: support, attack, and defense. One source told us that players could hang out with friends in between matches and express their identities in the game. Yay. With a lo-fi cozy aesthetic, Gummy Bears is aiming to appeal to a younger audience compared to Bungie's previous works. This tonal shift reflects a deliberate effort to diversify the studio's portfolio and connect with new demographics. Internally, the game has been described as Bungie's most fun project from incubation, receiving overwhelmingly positive feedback from playtests. It's understood that Gummy Bears has been in development for around 3 years. Here are some key takeaway details we've learned, and there are bullet points listed. I'm going to read each bullet point in order. A PvP team-based competitive game. While fundamentally a MOBA, the game's Smash Bros. Influences mean it feels distinct from other entries in the genre, falling off maps and replacing health bar eliminations. Multiple game modes are planned. Gummy Bears is described as having a lo-fi, cozy vibe, a sharp departure from Bungie's usual dramatic, high-stakes sci-fi worlds. The project has been praised internally as Bungie's most fun project out of incubation. The game is targeting a younger demographic with vibrant, colorful visuals. Expect a variety of roles, including support, attack, and defense classes. And finally, Gummy Bears has been in development for 3 years. So those are all the key takeaways here. In addition to the sourced details, Bungie's recent patent filings shed light on potential gameplay mechanics for Gummy Bears. The patent describes a system where towers in MOBA games can dynamically move, jump, dodge, attack, and use special abilities when charged. For instance, a tower might retaliate after taking significant damage by performing a powerful area of effect attack to stun enemies. Such mechanics could introduce new layers of strategy and unpredictability, setting Gummy Bears apart from other games in the genre. So, that's a lot. That's a lot. Man, man, I feel like this might this might end up being Sony's biggest fumble. I'm sorry to immediately take a glass half empty approach, but the reason why I say this is because, so Sony, you're definitely going to make this. This is basically going to be PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale 2, right? Right? Like, you're definitely going to take all the characters from PlayStation and maybe even some third party characters from developers that, or, publishers that greenlight it. And that's what you're going to do. And that's going to be your Smash Bros. Competitor, right? No, we're going to have original characters. And I'm not trying to be that person that's like, I don't want new original stuff, but it's like, good luck. Good luck, really. Because I understand why they're making this game. They're making this game because, I mean, it straight up says they're trying to appeal to a different audience, a younger audience. It's going to be a colorful, vibrant game. Um, and I don't think there's anything wrong with any of this, but it's just like there's got to be something to instantly make people go, I want to play that. Because it's 2025, and unless this game has literally the greatest mechanics ever created for a video game, like one of the greatest set of mechanics, people are going to look at it. They're going to say that looks like a Smash Bros clone, but a worse version. And I'm not interested in any of these new characters. They're probably all going to be super cringe. I'll pass. That's very likely what's going to happen with this game, unfortunately. And I just feel like it's kind of crazy because people have been crying out to Sony, like, please go back and take another proper shot at PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Because that maybe could have been something. But I don't know, man. I just don't think it's going to work out that well. But they're saying it's really fun. So at the end of the day, gameplay is king. If they do like an open beta for this and people playing, like, dude, this shit is amazing. This shit is super fun. Maybe it could take off. Saying this is kind of funny. People want new IP in games, and when you get it, nah, man. Well, I get what you're saying. I think we do want new IP. We do want new games, but it's just in my opinion, the thing that sucks about this, and I'm just going to be honest about it, man. The thing that sucks to me about this game is the fact that, and I'm glad that they're being open about it and they're just like making it clear, but they're like, this isn't for you, man. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't for the core PlayStation audience. This is literally to try to get new people, younger people. And I think that just sucks because it's like, well, of course it is. Why try to, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit bitter, but it's like, I don't know. It's one of these things where nothing I'm reading here makes me feel that interested. I mean, maybe when they show it off, because it seems like it's still a little ways away. It's been in development for 3 years. The Fortnite effect. I mean, yeah, dude, it feels like Sony is getting more and more desperate to like try to tap into this younger audience. And I'm like, dude, I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's like, look at what you did with Astrobot. Like, you did it while simultaneously also appealing to your core audience. I feel like both can be achieved. And that's why I'm just a little bit confused why they wouldn't have that idea of like, maybe we should, like, this would be a perfect place to leverage their own IP. I'm not against the originality. It's just, I don't have confidence. I don't have confidence that when we see this Project Gummy Bears, they're gonna be like, check out these really cool, interesting, over the top characters for Project Gummy Bears. And it's going to be like, holy shit, what is, like, did you guys not learn from Concord? But I don't know, man. I just feel like, I don't know. I look at something like Marvel Rivals, and Marvel Rivals, yes, it's Marvel. So it's like automatically it's going to have a certain, but that's exactly what I mean. Marvel Rivals isn't succeeding right now just because it's Marvel. That is like half of it, but it's succeeding at the level it is because people are like, holy shit, this is an amazing game. And then, boom. You see what I'm saying? Like, you take something that people are familiar with, you take a really, really solid core gameplay loop, you put them together, and then you release a game. And then there you go. I don't understand why Sony doesn't get that. Like, just Sony, please just do that. I appreciate the attempt at originality. I really do. But Sony's attempt at originality just seems to be going in the worst directions of like, so we should probably just try to appeal to the Fortnite / Genshin Impact crowd. Like, no, you have literally millions of like dedicated, loyal fans that I promise you, if you title this game, it doesn't even have to be titled PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale 2. But if you put PlayStation characters in this game, you will have an established baseline audience from the start, and it can just grow from there. You know, why not have a mixture of both? Have some new original characters, have some established characters. I don't know. I feel like I'm nervous for Sony, man. I am. I got to be honest. I'm very nervous about some of these live service, because this is clearly a live service game. I'm very nervous about some of these live service projects after Concord, because I feel like Helldivers 2 again, man. We have to give Sony credit for that, because they doubled the budget of the game. They gave them double the amount of development time, and Helldivers 2 is like, wow, look, see, we can do it. We can succeed. But I feel like the problem is, like, Sony doesn't maybe realize that you guys didn't. Helldivers 2 was at the bottom of the barrel. You know what I mean? Like, and what I mean by that is, in terms of, so which of these games is going to be the one to, like, be the big one? Literally nobody looked at Helldivers 2 and said that one. They're looking at Gummy Bears. They're looking at Concord. They're looking at Fair Games. They're like, these are going to be the big ones. The Horizon multiplayer game. And maybe one of them still will. And again, I'm not trying to be overly negative. It's just, I don't think this sounds very exciting. I think that it's going to be a hard sell. And I think Sony's going to have a bit of a struggle, because it's like you're trying to appeal to a younger audience, and you might be a day late and a dollar short in this case. Because Fortnite's already appealing to a younger audience. Minecraft's already appealing to a younger audience. Nintendo's already appealing to a younger audience. And it's not that games like Astrobot aren't doing a good job at appealing to a younger audience, but let's face it, a lot of people who bought Astrobot are also big PlayStation fans. The nostalgia factor, you know? I don't know, man. What about Marathon? This is separate from Marathon. See, that's what's really strange to me. I got to be honest. This is what's really strange to me. And we are going to learn more about Herman Hulstbro in the coming years, because Marathon, Sony's like, that's your thing. That's a Bungie thing. This Gummy Bears project, Sony's like, we want that. Yep, bring it on in. We're going to just bring it on in. We're going to open a whole new studio for this game. I am terrified, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. I am absolutely terrified, because it's like, oh boy. This is this, like, we cannot forget with the, hey, a new LA-based PlayStation studio. Hype. They believe in this game so much. Yeah, you know what other game they believed in so much that they bought the fucking studio and then shut them down? Do we need, like, I don't need to talk about it anymore. We already know. That's the elephant in the room. That elephant has not left the room. And, like, I'm just like, please. You know what other game also had really great playtesting that people apparently loved? Yep. So I'm not sold, man. I'm the opposite of sold. I'm extremely nervous. I'm over here be like, oh, all right, so okay, man. If you think this is the way to go, whatever, you do you. But to me, what's crazy about it is, like, I'm pretty sure Marathon has a better chance here. I don't think Marathon's going to be a huge success, but it's like Marathon, I think, has a better chance of at least garnering a solid foundational player base that can allow the game to live on to an extent. Maybe not for 10 years or something, but for a long enough time. This other stuff that Sony's doing, man, like Project Gummy Bears, Fair Games, I'm like, I'm sweating bullets for you guys, because, like, dude, if I was Herman, I would literally be sweating bullets. I would be shitting bricks. I'd be like, oh my God. Like, I wouldn't be able to trust anything. Oh, they had a great time in playtesting, huh? Do I think even the Horizon multiplayer will fail? Actually, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, my opinion on the Horizon multiplayer situation is, I'm not saying this is fair to the game, but keep in mind, I'm trying to base my expectations, like when you ask me questions like that, on what I've seen play out in front of me. And for me, it's like, I think if the Horizon multiplayer game if it has a uh a very hyper stylized look, and it's essentially, like I said, it's like, here's Horizon Fortnite slash Horizon Genshin Impact. I think it's doomed. I do. I think that's the critical mistake where it's like, you are too desperate. I think Sony might end up failing in so many different areas with live service because they are too desperate to win over a player base that they're not going to win over. Like, I'm sorry, Sony, but like, you missed the bus. You did. You missed the boat, right? You're trying to play catch up, and the worst part about it is you're trying to convince people to leave places they've already dug into for years and years. And that's why I think, do you know who would be willing to pick up your live service game and dig into it, even if they were already planted somewhere else? Do you know who would be able to do that or be willing? Your core PlayStation fan base, the ride or die type of PlayStation fans, those people. And it feels like Sony's doing the opposite of trying to appeal to them. I'm like, all right, man. Well, you know what? You want to keep throwing those Hail Marys thinking you're going to win big. That's fine. And I get it. They did it with Helldivers. They probably think they can do it with other games, but it's like, bro, I would love to see a side-by-side comparison of Helldivers 2 and Project Gummy Bears. I would love to see a side-by-side comparison of Helldivers 2 and Fair Games. There's a reason why the first collaboration that Helldivers 2 is doing is with Killzone 2. There's a reason for that. Sony needs to, I think, as much as I know that the shareholders would refuse to accept it, but it's like, you're not winning them over, dude. I'm sorry, Sony. You're not going to uproot people who are established on these other live service games that appeal to a younger audience. It's not going to happen. And I know that sounds like a defeatist mindset, but it's just a realist mindset where it's like, how much money, time, and resource are you going to dump into trying to, it really feels like this is the equivalent of Sony. It's the meme where he's got the backwards hat and the skateboard's back. Do you guys know what meme I'm talking about? Like, how do you do, fellow kids? It's like, I feel like that's Sony in the live service space where it's like, stop. Like, I get it. You're pressured by the shareholders, but the shareholders need to wake up and realize, like, that moment has passed, man. Yeah, the Steve Buscemi meme. But here's the beauty of it, though. And this is where it's not fully a defeatist mentality. It's totally fine that you're not going to be able to appeal to that specific market or like that specific younger player base. Doesn't mean you can't. Again, Helldivers 2 is the fucking proof. Doesn't mean you can't find a new audience. It just means that you need to let go of this idea that you're going to have some colorful, playful, like, that's Astrobot. Now, unless you're willing to try to turn Astrobot into a live service game, which would be the biggest mistake in the world, you need to let it go. I understand the whole idea of we got to diversify our portfolio, but to what extent? You're not Microsoft. You don't have 45 fucking studios. You just shut multiple studios down. How diverse do you really think you need to be? How diverse realistically can you be? I don't think these are inherently bad ideas. Like, we need to diversify. We need to try to appeal to other demographics. These are not inherently bad ideas, but I just think it's like this idea that, the core PlayStation fan base, they can't be upset because we still have Ghost of Yotei and Death Stranding 2. That's true, but it doesn't mean we're not paying attention to everything else you're doing and looking at some of the stuff and scratching our heads and being like, what? Who's this for again? So I read this Project Gummy Bears thing and I'm like, I feel like I'm about to relive Concord again, dude. I'm going to be honest. I feel like I'm about to relive this again because I remember with Concord, it was the same thing. We're going to talk about this game. We're going to give you information about this game. We believe in this game. We bought the studio. We poured more money into it. We gave them more time. And it's just like, Literally anybody could have told you. Anybody outside of those studios or whoever the hell was playing that game telling you it's good, literally anybody could have told you that's a huge fucking mistake. That's a big, big mistake. Anybody could have told you that. And I just am genuinely wondering, like, is the same thing occurring with Project Gummy Bears and Fair Games? Because we're not, like, I don't know if people are realizing this, but Sony's not showing us this shit. This is the thing that gives me the most anxiety, where I'm like, Sony, why are you not showing us anything of these games? Now, maybe Project Gummy Bears, we could say they're not ready. It's still too early. That's fine. But, like, why not Fair Games? Why not the Horizon multiplayer? Dude, the Horizon multiplayer game has been in development since 2018. Like, at what point do I start to, like, look around and be like, Sony, do you know? Because, like, why are you not showing these games? And I think that's the mistake, is they need to show them. They need to show them because it's like, listen, man, if you just invested in a dumpster fire, the sooner you show that dumpster fire, the sooner you can take in the feedback and have more time to react, to change things before they're fully locked in and pat down, you know? Why can't they make games for their fan base anymore? Exactly. Well, you know what? They're going to have to. I'll tell you that, Dale. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Herman's right at the end of the day. Maybe this Project Gummy Bears game, it would be so funny if I was just everything I say, the opposite happens. This game's probably going to be the biggest breakout hit for Sony in their history, bigger than Helldivers 2. It's going to be bigger than Fortnite, you know? And it's going to be like, wow, dude. If that happens, then it is confirmed that the opposite of what I say will occur. So everything I say, I will have to actually want the opposite of it. But I just, the truth is, if Sony keeps going in this direction with these types of games, and you can only fail so many times until it's like, well, I guess we have no choice, but we got to start. We got to start dipping into our back catalog and try to do something. Like, maybe we should try to make another Warhawk. Maybe we should try to make another Killzone or SOCOM and make it live service. Yeah, maybe you should. Maybe you should, Sony, because, if you did that, sure, you're not going to appeal to the younger kids out there. You're not going to have young kids be like, oh my God, SOCOM's back. No, you're going to get like grown-ass men like me and others being like, oh shit, it's back. But then, again, like, maybe it grows from there. Maybe then maybe the younger audience starts to pay attention. Oh, what's this new game, SOCOM? I never heard of it before. This is possible. These things can happen. And I think it's more likely. I don't know. I cannot stand to see Sony chasing trends like this, man. And I'm not trying to be like a party pooper to anybody who likes the idea of this game, and again, maybe it will be good. I know I'm being extremely harsh, but I'm just trying to play it safe, man. Like, I remember we just went over my predictions for 2024 recently. January 2024, I remember saying, like, I think Concord has a chance of being pretty big or like making some kind of impact or something. And I was right. It definitely made a lasting impact for all the wrong reasons. And it just goes to show, it's like, see what happens when I try to see the glass half full. It's like, oh, MBG, putting the hand on my shoulder. MBG, let me tell you something. You're right. It is going to make a lasting impact. It's going to make a lasting impact by being the biggest failure, one of the biggest failures in video game history. I didn't see that coming at all. To be fair, I don't know if anybody did, because all we saw was a freaking, space burger. But I'm just saying, it's like, I just don't have it in me anymore to look at the glass half full when it comes to, or even, I'm looking at the glass, I'm like, is there even anything in here other than Helldivers 2? You see something like The Last of Us Online get canceled, and I get it, Naughty Dog didn't want to make it, but they spent 4 years making it. So I don't know, maybe just, fucking release it. I bet you that'll succeed. I bet you that'll do well. But no, No, because for some reason we can buy studios, we can shut down studios, we can get rid of Sony London, we can get rid of Firewalk, but it's the idea of us taking all those developers, creating a different studio, handing The Last of Us multiplayer to that studio to just keep making new content for, that's just unfathomable. I don't. I mean, yes, it's a tax write off, but I still think that game could have been successful right up there alongside Helldivers 2, and we would be looking at two successful live service games from Sony right now, and one mega failure. And you know what? Even if I wouldn't even give a shit. It's like, you know what? Fair games, whatever. Project Gummy Bears, whatever. I got The Last of Us multiplayer. I got Helldivers 2. I'm good. But saying, but adults are already tied to Call of Duty, so the same problem exists. Why would people leave the games they already are invested in? I mean, I feel like that's kind of the part of the problem that Sony's facing right now, where it's like, I think Sony feels, well, I don't know, man, because we have to ask ourselves, like, what did Sony think was going to happen with, I'm sorry to keep bringing it up, but like with Concord, right? Like, I feel like with Helldivers 2, if you're assessing the situation, you're like, man, there's really nothing else like this game out here. So it's like easier to kind of understand, or not understand, but believe, I should say. It's easier to believe that maybe this could actually pull people away because it's truly different. Like, what's the overlap with Helldivers 2 and Call of Duty? Maybe zombies at the most. But even then, you play Helldivers 2, it's nothing like Call of Duty Zombies. What's the overlap with Rainbow Six Siege and Helldivers 2? There really is none. What about the overlap between something like Minecraft, Fortnite, or GTA Online, or any of the sports games and Helldivers 2? There is no overlap. So it's one of these situations where it's like they actually did have something so different and unique that it basically just, it cut through all of that, where it's like, oh, this is different. But it wasn't, but that's the beauty of Helldivers 2, is it wasn't trying hard to be different. That's what made people pay attention to it. It wasn't a try hard trend chasing, like, we got to really like think about how we're going to stand out. It just is like, let's just make this game because it seems cool. And that's the beauty of it. All this other stuff I'm hearing about, I feel like these are over engineered, man. It's like over engineering. It's almost becoming artificial, where it's like you're trying to build it in a lab, bro. Like, you got to just let it happen. There has to be some level of organic, manifestation here. But I don't know. We have Moonshot here with a direct donation. Thank you for that, Moonshot. You're saying, MBG, my condolences to you and the family. It's never easy. May 2025 bring blessings and brighter days ahead and some damn good games, my brother. Well, thank you so much for that, Moonshot. I very much appreciate it. It's probably why I'm so ranty today. I don't know. I got a little bit of an edge. I know that. I'm sure some people like it though, but I'm not trying to be overly negative. I'm not trying to be overly positive. I don't know. At this point, I'm just trying to be realistic, but I hope at the end of the day, my hope is the same as yours, Moonshot. I hope that 2025 not a good start to the year so far. Absolutely not, but I hope it only can get better. I hope it can only go up from here. I'm still excited for a lot of PlayStation games. I'm excited for a lot of games coming out this year in general. I just can't shake this bad feeling I have, man, with Sony's pursuit of live service, where it's like, I'm not, sometimes people listen to me and they're like, man, you just don't want new games or different games or colorful games or live service games. It's like, no, I'm not saying any of those things. I'm saying I don't want bullshit games that are just made as a desperate attempt to chase a trend, and it's painfully obvious that that's all it is. Because to me, that shit's so surface level, so uninteresting, and almost like offensive in the sense of like, bro, what do you take us for? Like, when it comes to the core fans, like, dude, a lot of core fans are ride or die, or if not ride or die, at the very least, like, there's a long history with PlayStation there, and it's like, I don't know. Sony's got to get a grip, man, with some of these things. I'd be surprised if I'm wrong at this point. I would. I would be surprised if Project Gummy Bears actually succeeds. I would. I'd be surprised if Fair Game succeeds. I'd be surprised if Marathon turned out to be better than just mid and okay. And like it's pretty okay, you know? It's not offensively bad, but it's not the next big thing either. It's fine. I'd be surprised about any of this. And I'll be honest, like the one game that I'm still really kind of, I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm just seeing a lot of consternation towards Horizon these days. You know? And that makes me nervous. Like, dude, they just announced a Horizon Zero Dawn movie, and people are just like, what the fuck, Sony? Like, it's gotten to that point where people are just looking at Sony and asking, what the fuck? And Sony's just like, more Horizon, baby. You know it. You know we got more Horizon. Wait, I got something else for you here. They pull out more Horizon. And I get that it's like, well, what do we know? This game, this series sold like 32 million copies or whatever, 32, 36 combined. Clearly people like it. And I'm like, I think you're right. People do like Horizon. But I don't think that means that people then are like, you know what? I like Horizon so much, I want an oversaturation of Horizon. That's what I want. I want Horizon everywhere. I want Horizon Lego. I want a Horizon movie. I want Horizon VR. I want Horizon multiplayer. Yeah, it's like, I don't think that's what people are asking for, dude. And I think Sony's like, that's what they want. Like, no, Sony, I don't think that's what they want, bro. Like, they want Horizon. I think a lot of people want Horizon 3 to close out the trilogy, to give it some, a proper end. And, of course, innovate, make it bigger, better in any way you can. And hopefully it has a great conclusion. I think everybody would be fine with that. But it's everything that's happening in between where it's like, yeah, it's like Guerrilla Games. Like, yeah, we got like 9 Horizon things in development. It's like, excuse me? Could you say that again? We actually have 12 Horizon things. Oh, 12. I thought I misheard you. We had 12 Horizon things. And Horizon sells well. And you know what? That's the thing. You're right. I think the first 2 games did sell well, but it's like, it's kind of like, all right, well, how well did Horizon Call of the Mountain do? How well did Lego Horizon do? How well is this multiplayer game going to do? Because you know what I'm pretty sure is going to happen? I'm just trying to be realistic with my expectations. As for how I'm going to feel, I'm 50-50. I want to wait to see. I'm not going to judge this game before I see it. But I do think, I have a strong feeling that when we see this Horizon multiplayer game, there's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, brother, give me a fucking break, Sony. Because I think that right now there's a lot of people who have no idea that there's a Horizon multiplayer game in development. We know that Horizon multiplayer has been in development since 2018, but I think a lot of people are going to see that Guerrilla Games logo and be like, oh, and then it's going to be Horizon, and they're going to be like, I think that's what it's going to be for a lot of people, man. And I'm just trying to think, like, if you're Sony, that sounds like the opposite of what you want to happen, right? That sounds like the opposite of what you want to happen. Why do I care about what other people think? Oh, I don't care about what other people are going to think. I only care to the extent of, like, what's the message that the market's trying to send Sony? That's what I care about, because that's the thing that's going to determine what Sony does next. It's not so much about why don't you like this thing or why do you like this thing. It's like, no, what do you or do not, what do you like or what do you not like? Because I feel like Sony's having a bit of a hard time reading that. And that's why I just think right now a lot of what we're seeing is like, it's like a lot of mixed reactions. Yeah, what's up, Corey? The legend's in the house. We have Moonshot here. He has 2 more direct donations. Give me one moment, Moonshot. I gotta bring it up here. He says, speaking of good games, I just started Dragon's Dogma 2 on the Pro, and this is the game that is supposed to clown the Pro? Bro, it's running like butter. I'm playing on the balance mode with ray tracing looking like quality mode, averaging over 60 FPS. Only critique so far is enemy variety. Awesome open? You know, it's interesting you say this, Moonshot, because I was seeing a lot of negative reactions to Dragon's Dogma 2 running on the PS5 Pro, but I don't know, man. I remember I was watching a little bit of gameplay of it. I'm like, uh, doesn't look that bad. You know, I'm like, am I missing something? I think it has a couple of issues, but I don't know, man. Maybe some people's expectations because of how much the Pro was is a little bit unrealistic, but that's a game I haven't played yet. But I'm glad you're having a good time, Moonshot. I'm glad you're having a good time with it. I'm actually going to be I'm wrapping up like I said earlier, I'm wrapping up Silent Hill 2 remake. I think I need like 5 or 6 more trophies, something like that. Actually, I think I only need like 3 or 4 now. Just got to get a couple more endings. Got to just finish my playthrough of getting all the collectibles. And then after that, I'm going to be moving on to Cyberpunk. And I'm just really interested to see. It's unfortunate because Cyberpunk isn't going to have a PS5 Pro patch, but still, I'm expecting it to look and run pretty good. Dragon's Dogma 2, I don't know if that's one I'm ever going to get around to, though. We'll have to see. But either way, dude, I do appreciate you dropping some direct donations there, man. Henry 3K saying you picking up when I'm lying down. I don't know. Henry 3K, am I? Cyberpunk runs really good on the Pro? Okay, that's good to know. Prince G, you like the hat? Yeah, shout out to anybody who recognizes the hat. When you play Cyberpunk, don't use guns. They're boring. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind. I'll try to keep that in mind. What if I have fun using guns? I'm just going to use the guns. But Corey the Legend Landiga comes in and drops a 10 bomb on you guys. Corey's gifting 10 memberships to start off, hopefully, a member train. Corey, thank you so much for that, man. Let me see what soundbite. Hold on.
But that was some fancy shooting. You're pretty good.
I always get those two confused. But Corey, thank you so much for that. Anybody who just got gifted a membership, please go check out if you're in the chat well, don't leave right now, but later on, when we're done here at the stream, please go check out some of the members' content. We just did a 2-hour morning with the missus today. It was a really good time. So please go check that out. But yeah, I don't know how much more I have to say at this point about Sony's pursuit of live service. I want to make it clear, I'm not one of these people that's like, Sony don't do live service. You know? I'm not one of those people. I think Sony should be doing some live service. But I wish that they would be a little bit more aware of, like, I wish that they would do a little bit more in the live service space to appeal to their current audience rather than making it so painfully obvious they're trying desperately to appeal to an audience that's not currently here. That's all. And we have, sorry, your name's cut off here for some reason. We have Stephen Pennington coming in, dropping a single member gift. Guys, let's get some W's in the chat for both Corey, the legend, dropping 10 and Steven dropping 1. Very much appreciate that. That's 11 members on the day. And let me see where that brings us up to. I have to actually update the member goal here. I think that brings us up to 180, right? So just give me one moment. All right, there we go. Sorry, it's just lagging out a little bit. I don't know why. But Steven, thank you so much for that, man. You hear Boss and his meow. It now translates to "you're pretty good." Yeah, that's what he's saying, bro. He's saying you're pretty good. Um, all right. So I hope that Sony, like, I don't want to see them fail, by the way. I'm not rooting for their failure. I have very, very, very little confidence in the upcoming live service games that we know of and the details that we know about some of the games like Gummy Bears that haven't even been announced yet. Steven, you're saying my first gift, more to come in the future. Well, thank you for that, man. Thank you. I very much appreciate it. Yeah, we have an incredible community here, man. All right. Probably should move on to the next set of topics. Um, I'll continue to keep you guys updated when we get any more details about the studio or the Project Gummy Bears. Prince G, a member for 10 months, says PlayStation's triple anus always outshines the opposition. By the way, go Commanders. PlayStation's triple anus. I mean, that's a thing. You know, I think sometimes people, they hear me rant about a certain aspect of PlayStation and they assume that what I just said is applicable to all of PlayStation. No, we are specifically talking about live service ambitions and multiplayer endeavors. What's Project Gummy Bear? I'm not going to be able to go over it again, Diego, but if you come back, once this stream is wrapped up, if you come back and watch the first hour, within like the first 20 minutes, I go in depth what Project Gummy Bear is. It's a, just to keep it short, it's an upcoming live service MOBA being developed by PlayStation Studios. Boss is here, bro. Come up here. Come up here. Oh, okay. I was trying to. All right. Easy. Easy. Don't. Boss. Don't do it. Oh, dude. I forgot to tell you guys before I move on to the next topic. We're going to talk about these Xbox topics or like these Xbox games coming to PlayStation because we got a lot to cover here. No, that project was not canceled. That project was not canceled. Dude, I put some catnip down in the on the living room floor. We have hard floors. I put some down and I just walked away. I came back like 3 minutes later. Dude, boss was just sitting there. He must have rolled all over it. He was just covered literally from head to tail, I guess, with just catnip all over him. I'm like, bro, there's no way. It was crazy. I almost took a picture of it. I'm like, I've never seen. I don't know how. I mean, he's still got some on him. So he went crazy with it. But guys, do me a favor. Please hit that like button. If you are enjoying the stream, if you're enjoying hanging out, hit that like button. Yep. Okay. I got you. Now I understand the reference. The out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see you, Prince G. I see you. Amazing song. I can't believe I didn't notice that when I was reading it. Damn. Who is your wildest cat when not streaming? At these days, it's Boss. Boss is he's a maniac. He's a maniac for all the wrong reasons. It's not like cute or endearing or anything. He's very angry and unhinged because of Luna. Like he's just mad all the time, bro. Like I have to yell at him these days. I don't want to, but he gets out of pocket. Like Luna will just literally come into the living room and just lay down on the sofa and he'll just be like, "Ooh," like he'll just be fucking like this high pitched growl. I mean, I made it sound really bitchy, but you know, he just does it. And I'm like, bro, can you just stop? Like she's literally not doing anything to you. But like she'll go up to the water bowl and start drinking it and he'll just like run over and just start trying to assert his dominance. And it's like, stop. Stop. I even gave him his own separate plate of like food the other day, fully away from her. And he still felt like he had to go seek out her food and eat it. And I'm like, bro, you need to stop. You need to stop. It's getting out of hand. Do I ever physically pull him away? No, sometimes I just have to shoo him, you know? Like if he because sometimes The other day, he literally chased Luna down the stairs, like yelling at her and attacking her, and I had to like run over and like shoo him away and be like, "Get out of here, bro! Like what the f are you doing? Like leave her alone." But anyway, enough about the cats. Let's talk about Gears of War coming to PS5 in 2025. Halo the Master Chief Collection. Guys, when people would make the joke last year, the full slate is coming. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't entirely sure that I believed it or that I felt that way, but we're learning a lot today about a lot of different games, a lot of different Xbox games that are apparently coming to PlayStation. And we're going to go over that, okay? There's a bunch of rumors, there's a bunch of insiders all corroborating different things. But interestingly enough, the conversation does extend to Final Fantasy. The conversation extends to Final Fantasy, where apparently Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be coming to Xbox this year, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be releasing on Xbox in 2026. So, interesting stuff going on here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Boss, you must wait a little bit longer. I don't have the tree. I'm sorry. Guys, let's see. We're at 11 members on the day. Okay, we're at 11 members on the day. 14 more memberships. And we can feed Boss his treats because in case you can't look at him, in case you can't tell, he's like, please, my life is garbage. I just get treats all the time and fed well and catnip. Anyway. All right, where do we begin? There's so much to cover with this. So I guess we should start with Nate the Hate. Nate the Hate revealed a bunch of different stuff regarding Xbox. So the first thing that Nate the Hate revealed, if I could find it, because for some reason it's not, hold on. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Yeah, okay. So Nate the Hate in his recent podcast revealed that Flight Simulator 2 and Halo the Master Chief Collection are going to be launched on both the PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, Jez Corden responded to this and said there's going to be way more than that. Your boss, help. Boss is crashing the stream. Okay. Oh, my Lord. Prince G, you're saying the whole kit and caboodle is coming. Xbox cope. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, the whole idea of like Xbox players being surprised. Like I saw this tweet right before I went live, actually, and I don't know who this person was. It was a random person. They quote tweeted this rumor about Halo the Master Chief Collection, and they were like, "I'm curious, Xbox fans, how do you feel about this? Do you see this as a good thing or a bad thing?" And they were like, "I see this as a bad thing because there's really no point to owning an Xbox now." And I thought that was an interesting take, but I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like talking about the Master Chief Collection coming to PS5, there's two things here. There's two things. Number one, it is shocking. Number two, it's not shocking. It's one of these weird situations where it is and it isn't at the same time, because it's like, holy shit, Halo's actually coming to PlayStation. But then it's also like, but I feel like we've been talking about this for the past year. So it's kind of like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, man, I don't anticipate that there's going to be like meltdowns where people being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." I think there are going to be people dunking on Xbox fans, but even then it's like, well, I don't know, dude. I feel like we've been talking about this. At least we have been here. Like maybe other people or certain circles, if I could speak, maybe it's not going to be that way, right? Like it's not going to be like, "Oh yeah, we totally saw this coming." Maybe there will be people blindsided by this, but The thing that's more surprising to me is the second rumor here that we're about to go over, where apparently Gears of War is coming to PlayStation this year, dude. Now, this is actually quite surprising to me. To be clear, um, Nate the Hate did not say, as far as I'm aware, Nate the Hate did not say when the Master Chief Collection or Flight Simulator 2 are launching on PS5 or Switch 2. He did not say it's coming this year. He didn't give a specific date. Hold on one sec, guys. Hold on. But Jez Corden actually revealed, he wrote an article, a Windows Central article, and this is where things I think get even more interesting. So the article says rumors say Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to Xbox in 2025 as more Xbox games head to PS5 and Nintendo. So it says here it's a new year for Xbox, and that means new games. Just earlier this week, Microsoft revealed that its upcoming Developer Direct stream will showcase Doom: The Dark Ages, South of Midnight, and a mysterious fourth game that is yet to be revealed. On January 23rd, we'll catch a glimpse of what Microsoft is planning to offer its Xbox platform gamers throughout the year, which also boasts Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, and Fable, if none end up getting delayed. Indeed, this year should prove to be something of a blockbuster for Microsoft, with more game launches in a single calendar year than they've ever had previously. We should also see a new Call of Duty later this year, as well as other surprises, both from first and third-party publishers across Xbox and PC. Boss, for the love of God, man, I'm sorry, but I cannot give you treats yet, and you just gotta chill. You just gotta chill, man. Chill. Hold. As is well known by now, Microsoft is also making an effort to put its Xbox games onto other platforms. Today, credible insider Nate the Hate shared some rumors on his podcast for games we can expect to see hit PlayStation 5 and the unannounced Nintendo Switch 2 later this year. For Xbox fans, Nate the Hate suggests that Final Fantasy VII Remake is hitting Xbox in 2025, with Final Fantasy Rebirth aiming for 2026. According to Nate the Hate, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and Halo the Master Chief Collection are both slated for the multi-platform treatment, with each game launching on PS5 and Nintendo Switch. I can corroborate independently with our own sources that all of the above is likely true. It seems that Microsoft is not stopping there, though. As previously noted by Xbox CEO Phil Spencer, there are no red lines when it comes to games Microsoft aims to bring to other platforms. I noted in an analysis late last year that any Xbox game that is capable of making a good return on investment from going multi-platform absolutely will do so. To that end, I've heard that in addition to the above, Hellblade 2, Age of Mythology, and potentially Gears of War 1 Ultimate Edition are also slated for PlayStation 5 this year as well. Although I'm unsure if that also includes the Nintendo Switch 2. I would expect that it most likely does if I had to guess that part. If all of this is true, and always take the rumors with a pinch of salt as plans can change, Microsoft will probably make more money from content this year than it ever has. Microsoft has a vast mountain of first-party content in development, with further unannounced titles for 2025 slated for the Xbox Showcase, which typically airs in June. So, man, this is where things are starting to really heat up, because we may be seeing Gears of War this year, bro, on PlayStation. And Corey the Legend Landiga comes in. I'm like 2 minutes late here. I'm sorry, because I was reading. He comes in, he drops a second 10 bomb for you guys. Corey's trying to do the heavy lift today. Guys, you got to help Corey out, bro. He's out here. He's trying to do it. He's like, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Steven's helping him out. Steven drops another single as well. And there comes Hellbound. There comes Hellbound with a 5 bomb. So a little member train going there. 10 from Corey, 1 from Steven, and 5 more to wrap it up. So we can make sure to put a bow on it for now anyway. From Hellbound. Give boss his treats. You ready, bro? You ready?
Boss, do you read me? It's time to feed the beast.
Come on. All right, Luna, you can have some here too. All right, now take your time eating all that, okay? Thank you guys. Thank you for that. Boss is going to hopefully be happy now. He was clearly getting desperate. And that brings us to 27 members on the day. Neutral Zone, you're saying, you know what's funny, MBG? You always say that Phil Spencer is a liar when you don't like what he says, but you believe what he says about all games going to PlayStation. That is being hypocritical. Well, no, Phil Spencer can't lie anymore, dude. Like, I don't know if you know this, Neutral Zone. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but Phil Spencer, just like every other executive, has lied many times in the past. And the reason for these lies, hold on. Sorry, my stream was crapping out a little bit. The reason that these executives lie most of the time is because they say one thing in this moment, and like not too long after, the company's plans change, and so they have to say something completely different. And so it basically is a lie. Like like technically, it's like, was it true in that moment? Like, sure, for that singular moment, but literally months later, something else is happening. Now, the same thing happens with PlayStation executives. It's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna release PlayStation games on PC 2 to 3 years later. Meanwhile, here comes Spider-Man about 1 year later. So it's like, it's just the thing about Phil Spencer now. The whole reason that no red lines quote is very interesting is because that's something you would think he would want to lie about. Because why would you want to say that? Like, why would you want to turn to your fan base and be like, hey guys, just so you know, nothing's off limits. I know because he sees it, bro. Like, Microsoft sees it. They see that there are fans that are desperately clinging on to, well, this can't go or this can't go. It's like, no, it can and it might. We're not leaving anything off the table. And that's a level of honesty that, to be real here, is I could appreciate, where it's like, okay, yeah, it would be nice if we could just get to a point where these companies could just flat out say. But then again, if Microsoft changes their mind, they could. Like, Phil Spencer still could be lying, because think about it like this. Let's say next year, Microsoft comes out and says Gears of War E-Day will not be releasing on PlayStation ever, or Switch ever. Then they just created a red line. Or the next Halo is never going to release on anything outside of Xbox and PC. They just created a red line. So it would technically make Phil Spencer a liar. But that's why I'm saying, like, these corporate executives, people, it's always been disingenuous to try to paint them as truthful individuals. Their job is not to be truthful. Their job is to say whatever they're supposed to say publicly. That's what it is. Their job is to, whatever their bosses or whatever the PR team say, this is what you say, this is how you recite it, this is the way in which you word it. That's their job. That's what they say. And that changes every time they talk. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, there doesn't have to be any hypocrisy, as long as everybody understands that if you're listening to a corporate executive speak, understand that there's a very good chance they're not being 100% truthful, because they know something you don't. They know plans that they know some of the plans. It's like, there are times where these executives speak, they know exactly what's coming in the next 6 months, but they're not supposed to talk about it. They're not even supposed to hint at it. They're not supposed to acknowledge it because it hasn't been announced yet. I mean, it's like, for example, when Phil Spencer was like, it's going to be 4 games, and no, those games are not Indiana Jones. Like, technically, that's not a lie. Like, if you listen to the way it was worded, it was on the most technical level. It was not a lie, because he's telling you there are 4 games, and the question that was asked is, are either of these games Starfield or Indiana Jones? No, none of these games are Starfield or Indiana Jones. But he knew, just like everybody else, again, that podcast was rehearsed. It was scripted, most of it anyway. There were talking points. He knew, and whoever came up with that podcast and the way things were going to be worded, they knew how people were going to interpret that. They knew that, and they did that intentionally. And that's why I'm saying, it's like, it's just, what does it even mean at that point? Because like if you're somebody who clinged to that, where it's like, see, it was only going to be 4 games. It's not going to be everything. And then literally later that year, he's like, yeah, there's no red lines. Indiana Jones is coming to PS5, by the way. It's like, what the, you know what I mean? Like you cannot hold on to anything these executives say. If there's one thing I've learned about covering these companies for the last 5 or 6 years, is it doesn't matter what they say, dude. It just doesn't. I'll report on it and I'll cover it and I'll tell you what they're saying. But it literally doesn't matter, because these are companies who are worried about their bottom lines. And at the end of the day, if something they said ends up translating to that's hurting our bottom line, then what they said does not matter. The only thing that matters is, what do we do differently now? How do we improve our bottom line? So that's all. That's all it really comes down to. You just got to understand that there's really not much truth. And even if there is truth, it's just momentary. These companies are always in flux. These companies are always changing. And even Jez Corden, right? Like, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus here. I'm not. But it's just something that people always bring up to me. And I'm like, oh, I mean, he still clearly has sources. If anything, I'm maybe defending Jez Corden a little bit here, where it's like people don't believe anything he says anymore, because they point out that, like, there was a tweet that Jez put out where he said, no, Xbox games are not releasing on PlayStation. That's just fanboy copium. And it's like, dude, I kind of understand. Like, I get it. It's crazy. I understand why he would say that. But it's like, yeah, you were wrong, dude. Like, now we're here a year later talking about Gears of War coming to PlayStation this year. Shit happens fast, man. If Xbox is sending all their games to PlayStation, what is exclusive to Xbox? Because I'm lost. Oh, exclusives are like, exclusivity does not matter to Xbox anymore, dude. If something is exclusive, it seems to be just because they couldn't get it ready for PlayStation or Switch in time. And Roadkill 8018 comes in and drops a single membership gift. Roadkill's keeping that membership train going, bringing us up to 28 on the day. So I actually have to add 17 to the counter. Why is this? Oh my God, come on. Okay, so that brings us up to 197. By the way, thank you guys for that. I don't know why everything's so slow today. I mean, listen, man, when it comes to exclusivity, I'll be real with you guys. Like, exclusivity only applies to one console going forward, and that is Nintendo's console. That's it. I mean, maybe for PC as well. Like, there are a couple of games that you can only play on PC, and I guess we could count that as exclusivity as well. Because I mean, we just have to think about what does exclusive mean. I mean, to me, exclusivity means it's only on one. You can only get it one place. It is exclusive to this one thing. If you can get it multiple places, it's not exclusive. Timed exclusivity is still a thing that we should discuss as well. And we've talked about this, but to be honest, I'm not really interested in the exclusivity talk anymore. I don't think there's going to be a point to it. That's not me saying I think God of War is going to come to Xbox, but I mean, I saw some people were thinking that Horizon Zero Dawn is going to get announced for Switch 2, or God of War 2018 is going to get announced for Switch 2. And I'm like, look, I'm not anticipating that, but who the fuck knows? It always sounds crazy until it happens. And then it happens. It's like, oh, well, damn. So the only thing I'm surprised about here is, like, I was not expecting to hear that Gears of War might drop on PlayStation this year, dude. This year, like, and here's the reality of it too. I'm talking to you guys right now, and I'm letting you know, like, this is not shocking, because we've been covering it. We saw this coming. Just like if Sony does announce this game's going to Switch 2, I've been talking to you guys about that. There shouldn't be anything shocking about it. But you know for a fact that the moment this announcement drops, the internet's going to be lit ablaze. People are going to lose their minds. And I don't know, man. I feel like we should be past that point. It is a big deal. Like I said, it's shocking and it's not at the same time. Like, I'm not going to pretend that it's not a big deal that Gears of War might get announced for PlayStation this year. Like, that is a very big deal, man. That is a core pillar franchise for Microsoft. That is a big deal. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, dude, Microsoft basically told us themselves, man. Like, Satya Nadella said it himself. He said, I have no love for the world of exclusives. If it were up to me, nothing would be exclusive. Something tells me everything is up to him now. you know? The Chemical King, a member for 12 months, he says, it's very clear that Xbox isn't interested in exclusives anymore. They have to make back all the money they spent. They will use the PlayStation player base. Yes, they will, and that is smart. I do think if their end goal, because it all depends on what the end goal is, right? Like, is your end goal purely about, you know, generating as much profit and as much revenue and as much profit as quickly as possible? If that is your end goal, this is the most effective way to do that. A longer term, the idea of them trying to truly grow their console player base, that's a mid to long term goal that also doesn't really have, there's not much evidence there that suggests that you can succeed in that endeavor at this point in time. So what Microsoft is doing is they're just going with the most obvious solution here. That obvious solution does have a downside. That downside is, goddamn, you put Halo and Gears on PlayStation. I mean, is anybody going to buy an Xbox at that point? It's like, yeah, some people still will, but realistically, it's like, I mean, between PC, like, that's the thing too, is like, oh, you can even play, like, the idea that you can even now play Gears of War or Halo on Switch too. I mean, it is true. It is true that if Microsoft does this, they are giving you literally no real reason to buy an Xbox. That doesn't mean there won't still be people buying Xboxes. It just means that very few people are going to buy Xboxes. It also means that when people feel as though they're trying to decide in the console space, or even maybe trying to decide between console and PC, if they do have a PC, if they're also going to buy a certain console, it just ensures that, like, Xbox is not probably going to be considered. And I don't think Xbox cares about that, dude, because Xbox is just, the truth is the Xbox brand is going to be in the best position it's ever been in, financially speaking. That's the reality. Microsoft is going to win the game that they chose to play. They chose to play originally the console game. Like, we want to be in the console space, we want to be in the console market, and we want to try to win. We want to take on Sony, we want to take on Nintendo. And the closest they ever got was with the Xbox 360. But flash forward to where we are today, that's not the game they're playing anymore. The game they're playing is publishing. That's a game that Sony's also playing. But it's not the only game Sony's playing. Right now, realistically, publishing, I'm not saying it's the only game Microsoft is playing, but it's like, if you want to distribute their focus, I'm going to say 85% of Microsoft's focus is on the publishing side. 15% is on everything else. I would say 85% publishing, 10% Game Pass, 5% console. Maybe we could alter the numbers a little bit. Maybe like, maybe you could say 75% publishing, but I just think realistically, Microsoft, their intent is very, very clear, man. Their intent is, we want to be the biggest video game publisher in the world. We want our games to be everywhere. We want to make the most amount of money as humanly possible from our IP and our games. And yes, we want to make money from PlayStation players. And believe me when I tell you, if Gears of War comes to PlayStation, if Halo comes to PlayStation, they're going to make a lot of money. They're going to make a lot of sales, dude. Sony is 75% PS5 and about 25% PC. That sounds about right. Yeah, I would agree with that. For now, anyway. For now. You never played Gears of War, so if that happened, you'd probably buy it. You know, Microsoft never did a collection for Gears of War, did they? They never did do like a Halo Master Chief type collection for Gears. That's a shame because, like, I don't know. I feel like because it's going to be kind of weird because, like, if Gears of War 1 Ultimate Edition comes to PlayStation, that's going to be before Gears of War E Day. I don't know. Is Gears of War E Day? See, that's the to me, that's the bigger question. The bigger question is if Gears of War Ultimate Edition comes to PS5 this year, and then Gears of War E Day comes out next year, although there's a rumor that Gears of War E Day might actually come out this year, people are going to be wondering, like, well, is Gears of War E Day a day one PS5 game? I mean, I don't. I don't know. I would assume, well, if they already dropped Gears 1 on there, I mean, yeah, I would assume, like, yeah, but maybe not. Xbox games coming to PlayStation make PlayStation a wild competitor for home consoles. Yeah, I mean, dude, this is what I mean, where it's just like at the end of the day, see, I think Sony has to be very careful about their approach with the Switch too, because we talked a little bit ago about the idea of like Horizon Zero Dawn suddenly being announced for the Switch 2. There's going to be a Switch 2 version of Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, I don't think anybody's necessarily buying a PlayStation right now for Horizon Zero Dawn, but you have to think about the signal that this sends. If it's true that Microsoft is going to be trying to put just as many games on the Switch 2 as they are the PS5, you know, the one thing that remains true for both Sony and Microsoft is Nintendo is not giving you guys shit ever for any reason at all. They will always have their own stuff, and that's never going to change. They're always going to have true exclusives, and that is a very, very strong selling point for Nintendo. So they're going to get more third-party support than they have in a long time. Now they're also going to be getting Xbox games. So I feel like Sony does have to take into consideration, like, be careful how much you want to support the Switch 2, because the last thing Sony wants to do is basically convey a message to people that, you know what, if you choose to buy a Switch 2, you don't need anything else. That's not likely to happen, but you just, they have to be careful, because if Sony were to announce something like Horizon Zero Dawn going to Switch 2, the first thing people are going to think is not, oh, I'm going to go play. That's awesome. I'm going to play Horizon on my Switch. No, the first thing people are going to think is, what's next? Just like what happened with Microsoft. What's next? And that's where Sony has to be careful, because I guess it really boils down to how effectively the Switch 2 will function as a home console. There's a rumor here. About the Switch 2. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, hold on. We got another rumor here. Jesus, man. Okay, hold on. Another rumor from Nate the Hate. According to Nate the Hate, Forza Horizon 5 might release for PS5 in 2025, but he also believes that Microsoft might just instead release Forza Horizon 6 multi-platform day one. Alrighty. To be honest, I think that would make the most sense. If we're talking about Forza Horizon, I mean, look, isn't Playground Games, they're winding down support for Forza Horizon 5. So I'm thinking, like, if you're going to pull that trigger and go multi-plat, yeah, just do it with Forza Horizon 6. That game's probably, is that a 2026 game maybe? I would just do it then. Because I don't think it would make much sense. Well, I don't know, though. I don't know, because you just think about the sales, right? From that perspective, I could see why Microsoft be like, we should release Forza Horizon 5. Like, who cares if we're winding down support? We could make millions of sales, and all that content's still going to be there. All you want is Gears E Day and Fable Day One on my PS5 Pro. Yeah, well, dude, that's why it's so funny the way this is working, because it's like, dude, some of these games are games I actually would have went back to Xbox for, like whether it be through PC or console. Like I would have, yeah, some of these games, it's like, okay, Microsoft, you look like you're actually starting to figure some shit out now, and I'm interested in some of these games, and that's the great irony here, is like the moment that finally happens, because Starfield wasn't it for me. You know, I think for a lot of people it was like Starfield, but for me, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm not interested in Starfield. Halo Infinite wasn't it for me, and like they finally get to this point, and it's like, you know what? I think I might be ready to go, and they're like, that's okay. We'll just bring it to you. It's like, you sure? Like, yep, we're sure. We're gonna make a lot of money. Like, oh, fuck, okay. Wasn't expecting that. You know, really wasn't. At least, I mean, not initially. I don't think anybody was. Because, you know, I do see the arguments that some people try to make where they're like, oh, yeah, now Xbox games are good now that they're coming to PlayStation. Like, bro, chill out. Like, Xbox is bringing different games to PlayStation, you know? At least going forward. I mean, like, the idea, like, oh, yeah, Sea of Thieves is good now that it's on PlayStation. I mean, for some people, yeah. Like, literally. I just think people need to understand that's a real thing. It's not like a shocking, like, oh my God, you're right, this is mind blowing. It's not a mind blowing thing. Like, the reality is some games can look good and people go, oh, but they are not at that level that's going to make somebody go, oh, but I have to leave where I am. I have to come to you. No, that's okay. It looks good, but I'm all right. Like, in fact, I would argue that a lot of Xbox's games are like that, you know, where I don't know that. Well, I don't know. Gears of War E Day, you could make an argument that that game would pull people over. So maybe Gears of War E Day isn't a good one to use. But Fable, I don't know. We haven't seen enough of it yet, but I don't know. Maybe some people look at Fable and they're like, it looks like it has potential, but I don't know that I'm going to go to Xbox to play it. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to pull me over. But it's like, oh no, we're releasing it on PlayStation. Oh yeah, I'll buy it day one then. I think that it's ridiculous that there are people who try to act like that's not a common thing. It is. It's no different than PC players with PlayStation games, where it's like there are absolutely PC players who see certain PlayStation games and they're like, oh yeah, it's looking like it has potential. Looks like it might be pretty good. Oh, I'm not buying a PlayStation. No, I'm good. But will they buy the game if it drops on PC? The answer is yes, they will. I just think the realization that a lot of these platform holders are waking up to, and I think people in general are starting to wake up to, is that that's a real thing that exists, maybe always has, and will continue to exist, where there are just going to be people where, frankly, no matter what type of games you have, no matter how shitty they are or how good they are, they're not budging. They're not moving. And that becomes especially true the more entrenched they become with the digital library. That becomes even more true, you know? So I just think that I think these are interesting times, man. I really like, I don't know. It's like it feels real, but it's also not, because none of this is announced yet, but like it's pretty obvious. It's like, yeah, like Hellblade's coming this year. Colin Moriarty saying PlayStation will never port exclusives to Xbox. I actually believe that. And that's not, I think that's just a pure business decision, dude. I think that's a logistics decision. It's just like, so how much would it cost us to port this game to Xbox? This is how much it would cost. How much are we projected to make? This is how much you're projected to make. Oh yeah, no. No, that's okay. It makes no sense. That's why it's the opposite for Microsoft, where it's like, how much does it cost to port Gears of War Ultimate Edition to PS5? Here's how much it costs. Well, to be honest, how much does it cost to port games? I mean, time is money. I don't know. Like how like I wish I have no concept. Is it like $5 million, $10 million, $25 million? Like how much does it cost to port a game like Gears of War Ultimate or Hellblade 2 to PS5? I'm assuming it takes like a couple months of work, right? At the very least, a couple months. And a couple months of work equates to how much? How much money? I mean, these are questions I don't know that we're going to have the answers to, but yeah, I just think that this is where Microsoft is like, if it cost us, you know, saying 10 to 20 million depending on the engine, I'm just guessing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could just be pulling these numbers out of our asses, you know. I mean, but realistically, let's just say it costs $10 million to port Gears Ultimate to PS5. And it's going to be how much? I mean, how much do we think it would be sold for? Are we talking like $40? Are we thinking like $60? I mean, 70? I mean, fuck yeah, man. If you're Microsoft, you drop that shit for 70, right? Right? It's got PS5 Pro enhancement. You want to just go with $70? We'll just say it's going to be 70. I don't know. It's a singular game though, man. Maybe $50. Is it a remake? I think it is. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Gears of War Ultimate came out in like 2014 or 15. And I think it was like a remake of the first game. Well, a remaster, actually. I think it was just a remaster. So the more I'm thinking about it, maybe $50. 10-year-old game, the way it'd be 70. Yeah. Well, okay. I could see Halo the Master Chief Collection being 70, but this is one game. And it is an old game. I don't know that Microsoft wants to get greedy per se. So let's just say it's not that difficult for them to port it. It doesn't take that long. And let's say it costs a total of $10 million. Now, let me ask you this question. How many millions of copies do you think Gears of War Ultimate Edition at $50 would sell on PS5? Gears of War Ultimate, PS5, $50. You could get it digitally, you could get it physically. How many millions of units do you think that's going to sell? 45 million? 45 million easily. Keep in mind, the install base of the PS5 at this point is probably around 70 million. 70 million install base, 3 to 5 million easy. I'm thinking more. I mean, I think 5 million is like easy, like an easy 5 mil. Because I think Gears of War is going to sell on PS5 just based on the sheer fact that it's like, holy shit, Gears is on PlayStation. Like I don't even know that I would probably play it. I don't know that I'd be that excited to play it. I mean, I do like Gears of War. I've always enjoyed Gears of War, so I probably would play it. But it's like, even if I didn't want to play it, I'm gonna buy it because like of course I gotta have a physical. Assuming they release a physical copy, it's like, yeah, I gotta have a physical PS5 copy of Gears of War. So wait, Guy Gravity, you think 2 million tops? Really, really? Okay, all right, all right. Well, let's go with that. So here's what's interesting to think. If they sold 2 million copies for $50 on PS5, that's $100 million in revenue. Now, obviously, Microsoft isn't going to get the entirety of that $100 million. You know, PlayStation is going to get a 30% cut of each sale. And if they do physical copies, there's going to be a slightly less, percentage on the physical copy sold. But the point is, they're going to make way more. That they're going to break even pretty easily if they spent about $10 million to port it. But I'm telling you, man, I would expect more than 2 million in sales. And if they let's just say they could do 5 million in sales. If they did 5 million units of Gears 1 Ultimate Edition, that's $250 million in revenue, dude. That's not profit, but believe me, the profit that they're going to make from that, even if it costs them $25 million to port it, I don't know that the same can be said for PlayStation, where it's like, okay, how much would it cost Sony to port? How much time and effort and money would it take to port, just for shits and giggles, let's just say Horizon Zero Dawn, because Sony wants to get Horizon everywhere. Let's port Horizon Zero Dawn to Xbox. Costs like 10, 15 million bucks. Especially because the developers have no experience developing on Xbox. Okay, so maybe it's even a little bit more expensive. How many units is Horizon Zero Dawn going to sell on Xbox? I mean, that's where I start to question. Like, I'm not sure it could hit 2 million. If you're talking about an older game, a game that's been out since 2017 that, frankly, anybody on Xbox who was interested in playing it probably would have already bought a PS4 to play it or played it on PC or something. I don't think it's going to sell that well. And I just think you consider that the install base. Well, okay, actually, you're right. Good point. That is a bad example. I forgot. Decima runs on Xbox. So actually, that would probably be an easy port. Maybe you say, like, well, I don't know, because I don't know, man. In my opinion, if Sony put God of War 2018 on Xbox, I think that sells millions of copies, bro. But at the same time, I can understand why for Sony you're like, we don't care. We're not doing that. I do understand, like, at that base level. An Illegal Monkey, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I completely overlooked your super chat. You're saying all your games belong to us. You are on the way to destruction. You have no chance to survive. Make your time. All your games belong to us. I understood that reference. Thank you for that, Illegal. I'm so sorry to keep you waiting to read that super chat. I don't know. I overlooked it. I apologize, man. Did you see how poor Xbox's sales are for Marvel Rivals? Well, I mean, it's free to play, too. Yeah, I think if you're Sony, it's just super risky at the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, are there sales for free to play? I guess, I think you're talking about like microtransaction money. But if you're Sony, I think it's really risky, man. I think if you were to take something like Helldivers and you think, well, we might be able to sell millions of copies, but what if we don't? So not only did we just send a signal that, yeah, we'll put some of our games on Xbox, but we're not selling. We're not even getting good sales. I guess if you're Sony, you probably are just like, well, I mean, honestly, I think that it's that if Xbox was, see, I don't know, man. If Xbox was doing a lot better right now, you could make the argument that their games wouldn't be coming to PlayStation. So it's kind of, hold on, I gotta close some of these tabs. I got way too many open. Let me see here. We have by the way, let's see. This is where things start, in my opinion, this is where things start to get very, very, very interesting. As you know, pretty much everything about the Nintendo Switch 2 is leaking out. I would say slowly, but it's like every day. There's more and more stuff leaking. You think Square's going to fuck around and find out when it comes to Xbox and PC? Yeah, but I don't think they have a choice, dude. I don't think they have a choice. I think it's just like they got to try, you know what I mean? Microsoft wants a direct sales funnel from every gamer, no matter what the platform or device, and by having a billion tentacles vacuum. Okay, you have such a way with words. Having a billion tentacles vacuum up all the money gamers spend. Dude, that's Satya Nadella right there, man. Exactly right. That's exactly Satya Nadella's approach with all the other divisions underneath Microsoft. Um, yeah, they want their tentacles everywhere, bro. They want them everywhere. They don't need all the money. They don't need all the money from one source. They just need a little bit of money from all sources. Yeah, I mean, dude, the idea of Final Fantasy going to Xbox, I think that's fine. I think the idea of Final Fantasy releasing on Switch 2, Square might have a winner there. I really think so. I really think so. I think Final Fantasy 7 Remake, it could sell, maybe it could get some sales on Xbox. But I think Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Rebirth launching on Switch 2, oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that, truthfully, that's probably why they wanted out of the exclusivity deal. More for the Nintendo Switch too. But here's where things get super, super, super interesting. I'm telling you guys, I could be totally wrong on this. And I'm okay if I'm totally wrong. It's not a bad thing. But I've been talking to you guys for a while now about I think the Switch 2 is going to be great. It's going to offer greater competition to the PlayStation console than people realize. I do. I think it's going to get more third-party support than people realize. And there's this kind of argument about like, so there were two rumors I wanted to go over with you, and I think this is pertinent to, you know, to the PlayStation side of things. Um, I'm sorry, there's just so many different rumors everywhere. I'm losing track of them all. Uh, I can't even find them anymore. Okay, here we go. John Harker, who is a known insider, just doesn't really say that much that often. He says that there is movement to try and get scaled Series S versions of games, but he doesn't know how it's tracking. So basically, what he's saying is that developers are trying to see if they can scale down their Series S versions to get them to run on the Switch 2. Now, that doesn't sound that great. I'm going to be honest with you. When I talk about the idea of the Switch 2 being competitive to the PS5, the idea of games running even worse on the Switch 2 than they run on the Series S is like, yikes. However, don't forget about the portability factor. But there is another rumor that apparently one of the games that is going, like, there are a couple of pre-order slots for retailers, and people have figured there's like 3 games that appeared for like pre-order for the Switch 2 apparently. And one of the games that people have figured out supposedly is it's going to be Red Dead Redemption 2. And that to me is like, whoa, hold on now. Like, I get it. Red Dead Redemption, I understand Red Dead Redemption 2 runs on the PS4 Pro and the base PS4 and the Xbox One. I get that, but it's like, I'm just so curious to know, like, what's it going to look like? How's it going to run? Because that's one of the best looking games ever made. And I honestly, but I mean, Rockstar is also one of the most talented developers, if not the most talented developer in the world. But it's like, if it runs decently enough and looks good enough, that to me might send a signal. Like, oh shit. Like, I saw people bitching about the idea that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be like a PS4 Pro, but then they're like showing screenshots of Red Dead Redemption 2, Ghost of Tsushima, all these different games like running on the PS4, the PS4 Pro. It's like, yeah, that's what these games look like, bro. Like, they don't look bad. Cypherpunk, you're saying Switch 2 will outsell the PS5 regardless of third-party support. It's interesting that you say that, Cypherpunk. Matt Piscatella, I mean, I don't know how much you guys view him as like a good source, but I mean, he is the head of Circana, formerly NPD Group. He believes that the PS5 is still going to outsell the Switch 2 this year. And I'm like, I don't know that I don't agree with that, but that's just a fascinating uh, thing for somebody in his position to say. But I think the Switch 2, I'm telling you, man, I think these third-party ports are going to do a lot of heavy lifting for the Switch 2. I think that obviously Nintendo's exclusives will, but I think there might be people underestimating how potent it's going to be when it's like, oh, here's Red Dead 2 on the Switch 2. Here's Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Switch 2. Here's Call of Duty on the Switch 2. I'm telling you, man, I don't think that's something Sony should just be like, it doesn't matter. No, that might matter, dude. It might. I'm just saying it's better to play it safe, you know? Don't get arrogant and assume. Don't be shaking in fear, but just, don't underestimate. Don't underestimate. That's all I'm saying. But then again, Sony's probably not going to care because they're like, well, we're getting Xbox games. That's what's so weird is like, people are like, Sony's got to do this. Sony's got to do that. It's like, bro, Sony did literally nothing. Well, not literally nothing, but Sony's just doing their own thing. And it's like, did we lose yet? No, you're going to get Gears of War. Oh. Well, okay. All right. It's like, if you're Sony, you're just probably like, shit, man, we really fucked up with the PS5 Pro. No, you sold 4.1 million units of the PS5, including the Pro. Yeah, you had like an amazing November. Oh. Well. See what I'm saying? Like, if you're Sony, you're looking at this shit and you're like, so we're not losing? We're not losing sales? No, you're not. You're gaining sales. If you're Sony, there's only one word that I just imagine, like, dude, anytime a PlayStation executive gets a little bit worried, anytime Hiroki Totoki's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Are we doing the right thing? Concord was such a disaster. Like, Hiroki Totoki's sweating bullets. Somebody just goes up to us like, Mr. Totoki, GTA 6. He's like, oh. Yeah, almost forgot about that for a moment, And that's the truth. That's the reality for PlayStation right now, dude. That's the reality for PlayStation. PlayStation is going to be in this crazy position potentially by the end of this year. I want you to think about this for a moment. Everybody's like, Naughty Dog's going to fucking flop. Naughty Dog's going to go put out the worst fucking game in history. Ghost of Yote's going to suck. Death Stranding 2 is going to be, well, who the fuck knows what Death Stranding 2 is going to be. But it's like, Sony's going to be in a position at the end of this year, potentially, where they're putting out their own games, like Death Stranding 2 and Ghost of Yote, Marathon. I'm assuming Marathon's coming this year. They are getting all third-party multi-platform games, like pretty much all of them, save for a couple that are just releasing on PC. They're going to be getting GTA 6, and they're getting Xbox games, dude. Like, if I'm not kidding when I tell you, like, Sony's going to be, and I'm not saying that there couldn't be some downsides to it. There could be some downsides to it. But from Sony's position, they're going to be in the strongest position they've literally ever been in. Ever. And that's what's so wild to me about, like, man, even me, like, at the beginning of the stream, I was bitching about Project Gummy Bears. Sony doesn't care, dude. Like, why would they care? Like, Sony just had Concord happen, and it didn't do anything. It didn't do a fucking thing. But, like, I'm sure they weren't happy about it. I'm sure it did hurt their bottom line. But it's like, at the end of the day, what did it really do? Nothing. At the end of 2024, I saw people bringing it up again and being like, oh, yeah, this happened. Yeah, it did. You wouldn't really have known. And it's just kind of crazy where it's like, Sony is in such a strong position that, as much as I hate to say it, like, they can afford to fuck up a bit. I don't want them to, but they can, and they'll be fine. And they can also afford to piss off some people. Not saying I want them to, and they'll be fine. But I feel like what we're about to see happen with GTA, like the combination of GTA 6 coming at the end of this year, and oh yeah, by the way, here's Gears of War and the next Forza Horizons coming on PlayStation and Halo. I feel like if you're Sony, you're just sitting back smoking cigars, bro. I'm not saying that's what I want, but I'm just saying it's like, yeah, I don't think they're worried. Namazer, you're saying, I keep telling you, look at their games, not happening. Namazer, who are you talking about? Nintendo or Sony? I'm sorry, I should have read that a little bit sooner. Cyberpunk, you're saying you fail to understand the Nintendo audience. LOL. I know console warring is good for business, but Nintendo is its own thing and caters to their own audience with exclusives. They're not worried about third party. No, I mean, look, it's not about console warring as much as it's just, believe it or not, like when I'm talking about, you know, the impact that the Nintendo Switch 2 could potentially have on Sony, it's not from like a console war perspective so much as it's just, I think that Sony could be caught a little bit off guard if they are too much, if they're not paying any attention to it. But at the end of the day, you could be right, Cypherpunk, and you are right about that. Like I don't, I'm not as engrossed with the Nintendo side of things. I'm not as familiar with the Nintendo fan base. And so you could definitely be right in that, no, dude, like they are literally just doing their own thing. They will continue to do their own thing. And basically, I guess what maybe the difference of the difference in viewpoint that we have here from one another, Cypherpunk, is I'm viewing third party support as like this could be a major difference maker, to whereas you view the third party support as this is just the cherry on top. And maybe you're right, because if you look at the Switch itself, yeah, I mean, logic tells you that, yeah, it's just a cherry on top, you know? I'm super excited though, man. I think the Switch 2 is going to be $400. I think it's going to be $400. Namager, you were saying Nintendo. Okay. Yeah. I think we got a lot of exciting stuff coming uh in the upcoming months. I do. Like I mean, it's the second week of January, man, and I'm looking at the gaming leaks and rumor subreddit and it's just like what is going on? Like there's so much shit going on. Um like I'm definitely going to tune in to the Microsoft or the Xbox Direct because Doom the Dark Ages. I'm not a big Doom fan, but it looks good, you know? And it's like, well, it is coming to PS5. I'll check it out, you know? Maybe it's a game I will pick up day one. Um what's that other game that's going to be there? There's another game that's going to be at the Xbox Direct. It's South of Midnight. I don't know how I feel about that one. I don't know. It doesn't look bad. The gameplay actually looks pretty decent, but I don't know that I'm sold on that one. Expedition 33, that was the other one. Yeah. Yeah. That one looks pretty interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it being turn-based though. I'm like I'm not sure if that's a game that I'm gonna end up playing, but it does look really interesting. A lot of people are very excited for that. Metal Gear Solid Delta could show up. I think there's gonna be more third-party games there. Yeah, I definitely got to tune in, man, because honestly, at this point, any Microsoft event going forward, I'm who knows what's going to be announced. Who knows? But apparently, there's going to be a surprise game announcement, and a lot of people were thinking that the surprise game announcement was going to be Oblivion remake, but apparently, some of the insiders were saying it's actually not Oblivion remake; it's something else. So, PlayStation Direct, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, so is Sony doing a state of play? Resident Evil 9? That would be shocking. I would be shocked if Capcom announced Resident Evil 9 at an Xbox event. I'd be excited, but I would be shocked. Jez Corden also said that he thinks the upcoming Xbox Developer Direct is going to be a lot bigger than Microsoft is currently letting on. I wonder if the unannounced game is bigger than a Double Fine AA game. Well, I don't want to get myself hyped up because I don't know. It's like a 50-50 thing. Same thing with state of plays these days. It's a 50-50 thing. Is there going to be something good, something I'm interested in, or something that I'm like, oh, okay. We've become port beggars. I don't know, man. Are we though? I mean, I know that that's kind of like the popular thing to like say about PlayStation fans talking about the stuff, but it's like I'm not, dude. I'm not out here being like, yo, Gears of War on PlayStation, bro, just because. Like, no, it's literally what Xbox insiders are saying. They're like saying it's happening this year. I'm like, okay. I didn't expect that, but okay. I mean, I would definitely, I feel like I'm a little bit, there's so many Xbox rumors, there's so many Nintendo rumors, and I'm like, where? Meanwhile, the only PlayStation rumor, you guys excited about Project Gummy Bears? I mean, goddamn, bro. I am more excited at the idea of Gears of War coming to PlayStation than I am at Project Gummy Bears. But dude, I don't know. I mean, again, Sony reiterated that Death Stranding 2 and Ghost of Yotei are coming this year, and I'm like, whenever you're ready to show more, I'm right here, man. I am ready. But I'm just, I'll be honest, man. Like, obviously, I'm still, I play on PlayStation. You guys know this. But I can't deny that I have a newfound excitement this year for just gaming in general, more than I ever have. I mean, maybe since I was really, really young, but genuinely, like, I'm excited to see, like, these three companies clearly have a lot of shit going on this year, and I'm not saying it'll all be good, but I'm excited. I am. Saying this won't be good for PlayStation fans, well, why not? Why not? I mean, if you're talking about what I was saying, how like Sony can just sit back and smoke their cigars and puff their cigars and not worry. I mean, I kind of understand that. Yeah, I mean, I feel that, but it's it's not like Sony's coming out and being like, you know what, we don't need to release Ghost of Yotei. We don't need to release Death Stranding 2. We're just gonna shut down our studios. We don't even need to make games anymore. It's not like they're doing that, you know. If they were, I'd be like, what the fuck? They're never gonna take us seriously. No, I see that's the thing, man. Like I said that they can afford some failures and they can. But it's like if there's a pattern of failure, they're going to have no like that's going to be they're not going to have to be worried about us. They're going to have to be worried about the shareholders, bro. Cuz you can only invest so much in an area and fail so much until it's like, bro, you're losing some shareholders. They're losing faith in you. I think that that's when we talk about Project Gummy Bears, we talk about fair games. If those games flop, the shareholders are going to be losing their minds. But then again, if Ghost of Yotei comes out, does amazing. If Death Stranding 2 comes out, does really well. Sony's going to be able to look at those failures and be like, well, if we didn't, I don't know, like maybe we could have had a third single player game, but we had to at least try. So, it's Microsoft have a Counter-Strike type game in the works. I read that. Yeah, was it Machine Games working on it? That sounds pretty interesting. Yeah, see that like why doesn't Sony try to pursue something like that? But I don't know. Microsoft is, so that'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Oh, hold on, my YouTube studio crashed again. Okay, you're saying Gampass is looking incredible for 2025, all day and date. Yeah, I mean, I have a friend who that's how they play their games, dude. That like straight up, that's how they play their games. And well, to be honest, I don't know how much they're looking forward to the to Microsoft's lineup this year, but this is why I'm terrified about like I don't dude, I do not want I'm telling you, man, I don't want physical games to go away. Because the day physical games go away, it's going to screw up my perception of game ownership. And I'm going to struggle to see the difference between you can play this game on a service versus you can buy it digitally. And there is a difference. I understand that. Like, there's a difference between I'm going to buy this one game digitally and have it in my library, presumably permanently, right? Assuming nothing happens. But it's just like, for me, the line is blurring to a degree that I never wanted it to, because there's just something different. I don't know. There will always be something different to me where it's like I'm buying a physical game in a game case with a disc. I'm putting it in the console. There's just something about it. I don't know. It's just the tangibility of it. I don't know if it speaks to my reptilian brain or whatever, but you know, I don't this I guess what I'm trying to say is the day physical games go away, like for good, like like yeah, there's just you can't there like PlayStation 6 is announced, next Xbox is out. There are no more physical games. You could buy a disc drive and you can put PS5 discs in there and PS4 discs, but there are no physical PS6 games. The day that happens, my view of services changes. As in, suddenly they are way more viable to me now. But I'm also still very upset because it's like, what the fuck? Like, that's not, like, I don't want to buy my games all digitally. I don't want I don't want to just interact with games through services. You know, like I want to be able to buy games physically and play them, with a disc drive console. I'm telling you, man, I can understand why Microsoft gets rid of it. I can understand that at this point, but Sony, bro, don't fucking do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Sony. I don't care. Like, do you know what's really pissing? Like, do you want to know the one thing Sony's doing? Well, there are other things that Sony's doing that's frustrating me, but one thing that's really pissing me off, like, Sony, what the fuck are you doing? I'm going to be honest. Like, this is the one thing where it's like, I'm looking at them like Sony, I have my limits, man. And in this one area, you are testing them. What is this bullshit where, oh, yeah, you can't buy a disc drive? Sorry. Got to get it from a scalper. Like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? You're Sony. Stop with the bullshit. Stop with the, stop. I know what you're doing. And I hate you for it. And to be fair, it's not like any other company would do anything different, but you know what they're doing. You know, they're like, well, what are you going to do? You just going to sit around and wait? Or are you just going to bite the bullet and start buying your games digitally? Ooh, I hate that. Ooh, I hate that shit, dude. I hate that shit. That's really bothering me. I'm like, Sony, I know you're not actually struggling to get disc drives. You're choosing not to. What are you going to do? Go to Nintendo? Dude, I'm like laughing because that's like literally probably what they're sitting there laughing with their cigars and their whiskey, and you're like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, MPG? You going to go to Nintendo? You going to go buy a Switch 2 and make that your main platform? Go ahead, buddy. I'm like, you sons of bitches. Cypherpunk, you're saying physical is dead. Everyone has their own storefronts. No, Cypherpunk. Physical is not dead. I refuse to accept it. I can't accept it. Like, I mean, look. I can accept that physical is dead for most people. But I'm just telling you, here's what I need. I need this. I don't just want it, I need it. And I know I'm not alone here. Sony, when you announced the PlayStation 6 in 2028, there better be disk drives. What I would want to see is a disk drive version of the PS6, but I know that that's not going to happen. I know. I'm prepared for that. I know they're going to be like, here's the PS6, it's digital. We're selling disk drives separately. Or if you already have a disk drive, like I have one disk drive that I bought from PlayStation or from Sony. So I could I'm assuming what I could do is I'm going to buy the PS6 and I will take the disk drive off my Pro and put it on the PS6. And that's what they'll do. And they'll say, we'll just continue to sell them separately. But the only thing is like Sony, you need to keep you need to keep selling physical games. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to see some bullshit where it's like here's The Last of Us Part 3 or Bloodborne Remake and it's like, yeah, there's no physical version. I'm not going to be able to accept that. Like that'll be like a really I will struggle in that moment where it's like oof. Oof, Sony. By PS6, it's digital. Do you even understand the industry? I do. No, I do. But like, bro, if you listen, you remember when the Insomniac hack happened and we got all that sales data for the PS4 generation and like the first couple years of the PS5? Bro, way more people than we would have thought. Now, this is just for PlayStation. This is not industry wide. This is just for PlayStation games. So many people buying PlayStation games physically. A lot of them digitally, but some of those ratios or some of those like percentage splits was like 50-50. And I'm like, Sony, you got to be out of your damn minds to see that data that's not that old and think, yeah, we should just go all digital. They'd have to be out of their fucking minds, bro. And people would lose their mind. I'm telling you, if Sony tried to pull some shit like that, that'll be their undoing. At least for now. I think like beyond the PlayStation 6, yeah, they could probably do it. But they got to do one more gen. They have to. We're still making physical games. And after that, we're done. I think after the PS6, yeah, I think by that point it's over. But no, dude, I think people would lose their fucking minds. I don't think it would be the majority, but I think enough people would rise up, bro. I think people who don't even give a shit about physical would rise up because they would see how upset physical bros are. They're like, you can't do this to them, Sony. Like, I know for a fact some of you guys right now probably don't even buy games physically, but if you saw how upset and mad I was, you'd be like, yeah, fuck you, Sony. Why do my boy MBG like this, you know? I think it would be a disaster for them. Maybe I'm just projecting. Maybe that's what I want to happen. Riot. Noctis Strife, a member for 1 month, says, we're not port beggars. No one asked for these ports. Actually, it is Xbox that is openly sales begging. Bro, that is the first time I've ever seen the term sales begging being used. That's so funny. That's so funny. Oh my god, I'm losing touch, man. There's like new terms being made, and I'm not able to keep up. Sales begging. Microsoft is sales begging. Oh man, I think at that point it's safe to say all these companies are sales begging. Dude, Square Enix is the biggest sales beggar, bro. They're the biggest sales beggar. I mean, it's true. It's true. I don't know that many people prior to Microsoft making the announcement themselves, I don't know that many people were like, please bring Sea of Thieves over. But that's where, again, I just think that Microsoft was curious to see, like, if we were to bring Sea of Thieves over, how would you respond? And they're like, yeah, we'll buy it. I think they're like, oh, yeah, okay, sure, yeah. Um, was MVG an Xbox guy before PlayStation? Yeah, I was. I basically I was originally a PlayStation person with the PS1 and PS2, and then the 360 kind of won me over. And then I was huge on the three. I did have a PS3 and I did play PS3, but I was mainly on the 360. Um, and then I actually with the PS4 and the Xbox One, I went to the Xbox One first, and I was there for a while. But as the years went on with the Xbox One, it became clear, like, goddamn, uh, yeah, I'm gonna have to go to PS4 now. El Unico, you're saying, did you beat Halo and Gears trilogy? I actually, dude, I was never really a Halo player. Like, I've played Halo before. I could never get deep into it. I really couldn't. Like, I never meshed. I meshed more with Gears, but even with Gears, I don't think there's Gears 1, 2, and 3. What was that other Gears? Was it Judgment? I know that came out, and people were not too hot about that. I played Gears 1, Gears 2, didn't play Gears 3, didn't play Judgment. Then I played Gears 4, didn't play Gears 5. So I'm a bit all over the place with Gears. And with Gears, I feel like, to be honest, I think I just sucked at it. Like, that was the conclusion I came to with Gears, where I'm like, I'm just not. I remember I tried to play Gears multiplayer, and I'm like, I don't, I don't know what I'm doing, and I could never figure it out, and I would get wrecked, and I'm like, all right, well, Gears is fun, but I don't know, man. It's like one of the only franchises from Microsoft, because that's what's kind of weird with my history with Xbox is like the franchises that I got deep into with Xbox were like not, at least at the time, like for example, State of Decay. Like, bro, I remember when I first played State of Decay, I was like, uh, whoa, like why is this one of the best games I ever played? Again, my friend told me about it. He's like, bro, you just got to play this game. It's an Xbox exclusive. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, it's on the Xbox Arcade. Go play it, man. I'm like, all right. Sure. Yeah. Looks pretty good. I love zombies. And I remember I was like, I can't believe this. And I remember when they announced the sequel, I was like, hell yeah, dude. And the sequel was a bit disappointing. I'm not going to lie. It was not what I thought it was going to be. But I don't know, man. I was there for like games like Rise, Son of Rome, and I'm gonna be real, dude. See, this is why people think I'm a fucking. They think I'm like the biggest Xbox hater in the world. It's like, dude, Rise, Son of Rome was underrated. It was fucking underrated, dude. It was, and I don't understand why that game got mega shit on. Because I'm like, this is pretty good, but I felt the same way about the Order 1886. When I did, I mean, I was late to that one, but I was like, man, this is pretty good. You know, I'm like, you look back at these games and you're like, were people way too hard on some of these games? I think they were. Rise Son of Rome was good. Um, I remember I started getting it really into Forza Horizon, and Forza Horizon was really, really fun. I really enjoyed that. I couldn't never get into the regular Forza games. Same way I can't really get into GT. I'm not into simulations. I did play a bit of Sunset Overdrive. Yeah, I don't think I ever beat it, but I was playing it and I was like, I thought it was okay. I wasn't like, I was actually like excited about how excited everybody else was at the time about Sunset Overdrive, but I wasn't like, over the moon about it. I'm like, this is pretty good. It's pretty fun. What else was there? I know there was a couple. Oh, you know what? Quantum Break. I knew there was another. I'm like, wasn't Remedy there? I remember playing Quantum Break and, mm, see, I feel like this is where Microsoft started to lose me because like I remember being pretty stoked for Quantum Break, but when I played it, I'm like, it's okay. It's not amazing. And I remember being really kind of put off by the whole like we're just gonna stop and play like a 30-minute show now. And I was like, look, I love cutscenes. Now I'm a huge Metal Gear fan, but like this is kind of weird. I remember being a bit put off by it, but I was gone by then. I mean, no, honestly, no, I wasn't. I had this kind of hope that basically going deeper into the Xbox One generation, like things are going to get better. Like they're really going to turn around. And it was when it started to become clear, like, no, they're not, dude. Not this generation. That's when they lost me because at that time, Sony was really starting to fire on all cylinders. Where like I remember looking over at the Sony things and thinking like, it looks good, but I don't know, man. I'm just gonna stay where I'm at. It's probably not as good as everybody's making it sound. And maybe it was a little bit in denial at the time, but by like 27, I would say by like 2018, going into 2019, that's when I broke because people were like, they were like yelling, they're like, dude, you listen, man. We've heard you talk enough about what you want from Xbox, and they were trying to tell me like that's what PlayStation's doing right now. Yeah, yep, that's what they're doing right now. And I think that I just kind of was in this phase of denial where it's like, no, no, it can't be. It can't be. I picked the wrong side. But, I was late to a lot of these games I played. But once I played them, I was like, I even started playing games that I didn't think I would give a chance. They were like, bro, you got to play Shadow of the Colossus. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I have no interest in this game as of right now, but you're all telling me to play it. And at that time, I was very receptive. Not as stubborn, I guess, because my mind was blown as like, well, people were telling me to play Bloodborne and they were telling me to play. I will say the biggest fumble for me was the Bloodborne situation. That's where I realized like, man, I was in a deep state of denial because I love the Dark Souls games. To be fair though, Dark Souls 3 was coming up and I knew that. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I got Dark Souls 3. I'm good. But once I played Bloodborne, I was like, oh my God, you idiot. Like, why would you do that? Cypherpunk, you're saying crazy Halo franchise has 81 million sales from how bad it's been for a long time. Nearly 20 million more than the God of War franchise. WTF. I mean, that's what's crazy to me, man, with the Halo situation with Microsoft is it's like Halo legitimately had the potential to be like a top 5 game of all, like, I mean, in like today, like if they nailed the trajectory, like, how Call of Duty's still like in the top tier, I guess, for a lot of people. I feel like Halo could have been right up there with it because Halo was not Call of Duty. Halo was its own thing. And from my understanding, it was its own thing. And Microsoft, it seems like ever since Bungie walked away, man, I'll be honest, I think Microsoft was just like, okay, well, we got to do something. Let's go with 343. And I think 343 is the one that fumbled it. And I think where Microsoft fucked up is they let 343 fumble it for too long. I mean, if you look at what happened to 343, they're completely rebranded now. Leadership was gutted. And that was after like 2 generations, dude, practically. And I think a lot of people look back on that and they're like, that should have happened years ago. That should have happened like maybe immediately after Halo 5. That's when that should have happened. And we'll see what they end up doing, man. I don't know. Halo, I don't think is anywhere near where it used to be. And I think most people have accepted that. It doesn't mean it doesn't have a fan base. It clearly still has a fan base. It clearly still is relevant to a degree, right? And that's why I think it's fascinating that they're going to bring it to PlayStation because it's like that could, if they're planning on rebooting it, and it's like, well, let's give you the Master Chief Collection. That's smart. I'll be honest. Like, I think that's smart. I think that that's going to be able to give it the best chance at like, all right, let a whole new group of people play the Master Chief Collection, and then, a couple years later, here's the new Halo, and it'll be out maybe sometime next gen. And maybe you're on to something. But yeah, I think the last Bungie Halo was Reach. It's so interesting to me that that Sony tried seemingly to compete with Halo with Killzone, but Killzone just could not. It just could not get off the ground, man, in the way that it needed to. I think Killzone 2 was the closest they got. But even then it was like, Still not reaching those heights. Halo reboots, excuse me, going multi-platform could make it bigger than ever. It could. Yeah, it could. Well, there's a lot of really interesting stuff that I think is going to go down this year with Microsoft and Sony, and Xbox and PlayStation. And I think that, you know, it's only January 10th and we are seeing like a floodgate already opening of like all these rumors of these games that are apparently coming this year. Um, Here's a question I have for you. I meant to ask this earlier because I'm going to be wrapping this up soon. By the way, guys, if you want to drop any more support, membership gifts, super chats, direct donations, any of that stuff, make sure you do it now because I'm going to be wrapping this up in like 5 minutes. Um, we are sitting at 28 members, by the way, on the day. But I was going to ask you guys, like, so Microsoft is apparently going to be bringing Hellblade 2 to PlayStation this year. Will they release a physical version? Will there be a physical PS5 version of Hellblade? Absolutely not. You don't think so? There's like this part of me that's like, please, because like, I'm going to be honest, if they release it digitally, see, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. As somebody who likes physical games, I like collecting physical games. You release a physical version, I'm going to buy it. I don't know if I'm going to replay it, but I'm going to buy it. I want to add that to my collection. You release it digitally, I'm going to pass on it. So I don't know, man. I'm kind of hopeful that if they are releasing that game this year, I hope they release it physically. I hope they do. But yeah, they're probably not. Saying if they want to sell the game, if they want to sell the games, yeah, I think any PS5 releases they do, they should try to do physically. Because I do think there's more people buying physical games on PlayStation than sometimes people realize. I do think it's still a minority, but yeah, I guess things get kind of messy there for them because like then they have to split the money multiple ways. They have to split it with Sony, then they have to split it to the, you know, the manufacturer making the physical copies. Yeah, I know that Microsoft they partnered with was it Limited Run, I think, for some of their games, the first batch. But yeah, I guess we'll see. We will see. And let me just double check something here real quick. Okay. All right. Sorry, I was just double checking to make sure I covered all the topics I wanted to go over today. Uh, okay. Yep. All right. Well, that pretty much does it, guys. I was able to go over pretty much all of the rumors I wanted to cover. Um, when I was doing the morning with the missus earlier, all this stuff was coming out, all these different rumors. I'm like, geez, you think Sony's going to do something at their Xbox after Xbox and Nintendo? I mean, I have to imagine Sony's going to do something soon, just because like I mean, Sony usually. I don't think there has been a time in recent memory where Sony didn't do a state of play in the first quarter of the year. So it might not be this month. It could be February, maybe even March. But I could understand why Sony's probably just looking at what's going on right now. And, you know, they're seeing this stuff too. And some of these games Sony already knows that, are coming. Um, I could see why they're probably just going to be like, all right, well, let's just we don't have to really dive in right now. We'll just let Sony or Nintendo and Microsoft do their thing, and then we will maybe we'll do a state of play after. My hope is that they don't wait too long though, like too long, just because. I mean, I don't know. I'm eager to see. I'm eager to see more of what they have. Like I want to see some Death Stranding 2. I feel like it's been a while since we heard from that game. I mean, I know Ghost of Yotei was announced not that long ago, but man, I really want to see some more Ghost of Yotei. I think that's the game I really want to see more of. And of course, we talked about their live service games that we know are coming. Metal Gear Solid 3 remake release date, we need that too. It's not Sony, but yeah, we need that. But yeah, man, I think that things are just starting to slightly heat up. I think things are going to get pretty crazy pretty quick. I think there's a lot going on. Yeah, we need to see Wolverine too. Yeah, that wasn't even on my mind either. So we will see, man. We will see. Are they going to want to talk about more Intergalactic this year? Oh God, that one makes me nervous. Just because I don't know, man. Like I'll be real. Intergalactic is a game that I'm gonna try my best to cover, but I'm telling you, man, if it gets too toxic, I'm just not doing it. Like I'll play it on my own if I'm interested in playing it, if I like it. But there's just gonna be some shit that if it starts to get too out of hand, I'm just like, nope, I don't need that headache. I don't, and I don't think anybody else does either. There's just some games these days we might have to, I don't know, not not go too deep with because people are getting nuts. People are getting nuts these days. So, all right. Well, guys, that wraps up today's stream. On Fridays when I stream, these streams might occur a little bit later due to the fact that we do a morning with the misses. But again, if you are not a member, please consider becoming one. Go check out some of the members' exclusive content. Probably going to take tomorrow off. We'll be back Sunday. I'm going to try to get back on a normal routine as best I can, getting videos out, streams, members content. Cypherpunks, you'll cover it, LOL. Well, truth be told, Cypherpunk, it's all going to come down to whether or not I'm actually interested in playing it. In all seriousness, I've gotten to a point where it's like, it's going to be difficult because I'm planning on playing more and more games. I'm really trying to approach this year where it's like, I want to start playing more games and getting, tackling my backlog a little bit. And, even trying to push myself to maybe platinum certain games. Like I said, Silent Hill 2 Remake, I was certain after looking over that trophy list, like, I'm not platinuming it. After a couple weeks, well, it's been a couple months, but, a couple weeks of really trying, I'm like, no, now I'm close to getting the platinum. So it's really just going to come down to what games I'm truly interested in playing and engaging with and which games I am not. So, or who knows? Maybe I'll be completely wrong and I will just cover it the entire time and it'll be the new Last of Us Part 2 here on the channel and I just won't shut the F up about it. So we will find out. Stay tuned, Cypherpunk. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll see. But guys, do me one last favor as you're heading out. Please hit that like button to help the stream. And I also want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter for doing the timestamps. Really appreciate what you do on the channel, Devil Shooter. Thank you so much for that. If you guys see him in the comments, give him some thanks. And just, one last thank you to everybody who dropped any support. If you dropped a super chat, if you dropped any membership gifts, if you became a member, if you dropped a direct donation, thank you guys so much. You are the sponsors of the channel. You allow these conversations to continue to persist. And Cypherpunk says, Cyberpunk 2077 console is shit. Play on PC. I'm playing it on my PS5 Pro, Cypherpunk. You're going to have to accept that. I'm sorry. Just going to have to accept it, man. That's how it's going to be. I don't know. Somebody said earlier it actually runs pretty good on PS5 Pro. So I'll let you know. I'll let you know if I'm impressed with what I see or if I feel like it's lacking. But all right, guys. And Cypherpunk, thank you for the super chat. Take care of yourselves. Hit that like button on your way out. And I will catch you guys on Sunday with the next stream. So until then, take care, everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.